Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to discuss the definition of genius, and it is not what most people think it is. Now, in order to really understand the definition of genius, we need to take a brief but interesting walk through history. Now, the word genius comes from the Latin word genius, and in Latin, genius meant the attending spirit present at someone's birth, their innate ability or their inclination, meaning that every person is born with a genius, an innate inclination or ability towards something. And that stuck for a very long time, that idea that everybody has a genius, an innate something that they're kind of born with. Over time, the term has changed. It later meant someone's natural ability, sort of a slight variation, and that stuck around for a while. And then the term changed to mean someone's exceptional natural ability. And that's the first time that the idea of being exceptional combined with someone's ability or sort of inclination kind of came together. And that lasted for a few centuries. Now here's where the story gets interesting. In 1905, the French government commissioned an intelligence test to be created and administered to all of the students in the public school system. And the idea was quite simple. The government wanted to know how students were performing based on kind of what might be considered normal for any given age range. And so the idea was that you could administer some kind of standardized test and see the students that were scoring lower than maybe average and offer additional help in things like reading, writing, and arithmetic to those students. Now, the inventor of the test was wise, and he said, you really cannot measure intelligence by a test or on a single score. And he was vocal about this. However, the idea of this intelligence test took off, and there was a few iterations. And later, the top tier of the test became known as like the genius level. If you scored exceptionally high on the test, you were at a genius level. But that term only lasted until 1937. And in 1937, the top tier of the test changed to mean very gifted. And in different versions of the same or similar IQ test, it's very gifted, very superior, or upper extreme. So the term genius, as it relates to an IQ test, hasn't actually been in use since 1937. However, the idea has stuck, and many people believe that you can measure genius through an IQ test. And I will tell you, after studying genius for many, many years at this point, that is really not true. Now, you can look up Webster's definition of genius, and what's somewhat interesting about Webster's definition of genius is that it kind of gives you multiple definitions, and they all kind of track to those different points in time that I mentioned. But even in Webster, the idea that someone is exceptional or has exceptional intellectual ability is still present. But what really is the definition of genius? Now, I believe it's a little bit of all of those things. But here's the real definition, but let's unpack genius for a second. So genius is the idea that someone has a natural ability or inclination towards something. I would call it a passion. And when that passion is activated, the thing that a person does, excites them. They want to get better at something. And so when you get better and better at something, you develop what I call better strategy. And over time, that better strategy can look like mastery. So passion plus strategy and later mastery combined with a third element of that sort of channeled inspiration, meaning you sort of have those moments where an exceptional expression comes through, or an execution, or an idea, or a creation, or an invention, like something kind of channels through you. And when you combine passion plus strategy or mastery with those channeled moments, that's what looks and feels to somebody like genius. And so it's not really a noun in the sense like, you are a genius. Everybody has a genius. The more interesting definition, in my opinion, is genius as a verb. Are you geniusing? Are you combining that passion with sort of a continuous improvement and a move towards mastery with those kind of channeled moments? And when you do all of those things, you are geniusing. Now, early on in our journey, when we're just learning, it might not look to the outside world like genius. It's because we're still developing all of that. As we get better, sometimes those things align and we have these moments of genius. And then when you get really good, you really see that genius in action more. And that's when the world says, oh, that person's a genius. They've been at it for a really long time, and those things come together often and frequently, and so it kind of feels like genius. But really, they're working with the same raw materials that all of us are, and they've just chosen to go on a path to really master that thing and get better and maybe do it in a way that no one else is doing it, a unique expression of it. And so that really is genius. It's the combination of kind of in action, those perfect moments of strategy, passion, and channeled inspiration. And it's a genius thing. It's an action. Now, I believe in the everyday genius, meaning sometimes you see that sort of exceptional ability in somebody, but most of us are on a journey where we're sort of in process of geniusing, and we're in various stages of our journey. And maybe some of us haven't even started the journey yet. We don't know what excites us or what we're passionate about, or we don't try to get good at something because we don't even know what that thing is. And that's all okay. That's all part of the process. And so I like the idea of the everyday genius because I think all of us have moments where we really do bring those elements together and our genius shines, whether it's a waiter in a restaurant having just perfect service, or someone talking to a child and having the perfect words to say in a moment that are just really channeled, or a leader on a team bringing together a team just perfectly to execute on something brilliantly. Like, those moments happen all day around us. And when you kind of see how these elements come together, you can see that that is genius in action, or people are geniusing. So that is what I believe to be the accurate definition of genius, and is not something that can be measured on a test. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more, I've got other videos on my channel about genius and about finding your soul's calling and your passion. And please, if you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.